Well, welcome back to the channel. I'm gonna zip this wheel off, take one off the field cultivator over there, and go back to disking. We'll see you here in 39 seconds. Well, I got that done. I got lugs stripped out, but I need to be going, so we'll see y'all over at the field. Well, we're back over at this same field that was at yesterday. I've got the end rows to finish up. I didn't want to do that after dark. Due to fences and trees and a field row I don't want to disc up. But I want to talk about something real quick. Yes, I have been tested positive for COVID. I'm not showing any symptoms, but even though I'm out here on this tractor, that don't mean that I'm out running around. I'm just not around nobody. The whole family's under quarantine. We've been out doing stuff, looking at Christmas lights and stuff like that. So we're just not around nobody or not going into any stores. Just because you got COVID don't mean you have to stay locked up. You can get out and drive around. Don't be around nobody. Do your part. We're going to end up missing Christmas because we're going to be in quarantine to the 31st of this month. We have people dropping stuff off at our porch, buying our groceries online, having people pick them up for us. So we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. So we'll get back to farming now. We're gonna go up on that hill next, across that creek, but I'm gonna have to go about 2 miles around the road because the gates aren't wide enough. But we'll get there. Well, I'm doing the identical curve, 4 passes around this end. I've got to know quite a few of y'all through comments and stuff. So I guess it'd be a good time to talk about myself a little bit. My name's William Russell Thomas. I was named after both my grandfathers. William Vestas Gray, they called him Bill. And Henry Russell Thomas, which is where I get the Russ from. They called him Russell. But I'm gonna talk about my pawpaw Bill first. Both my grandfathers was very good role models, influences on me. He was a sharecropper. He farmed some cotton. He worked on a doctor's farm, local doctor's farm, helped him. He drove a school bus. Later on in life, he got on with the city of Loretta, Tennessee, and drove a garbage truck. He had an accident, I think it was in 83 or 84. He was old enough to retire, so he retired. And my grandparents built a house a couple hundred yards through the woods from my mom and dad's house. mama's side, they were detrimental in raising me. They didn't spoil me, but that's where I learned my love to hunt and fish. I don't do it like I used to, but so that's Pawpaw Gray. Well, we're coming up on the wet spot. We got moved over to the other field across the street, so I didn't plant right here. You can kind of tell it was wet, so we're gonna see what kind of mess we can make right here. Well, we may run into a mess on the next pass. Well, I'm doing the skip pass method. So now I'm going to talk about my other grandfather, Henry Russell Thomas. He was the big farmer in the family. That's where how I'm able to farm today. Growing up, he was never really loving. That just was his nature. He was a great man. Cared about a lot of people, but you know, 9, 10 years old, he didn't expect me to work, and I helped him a little bit, you know, or I helped him a lot back then, but I felt like I needed to be doing what other kids was doing. And but he taught me a great work ethic and a lot of things. You know, later on in life he would tell you he was proud of you, that you done a good job, but other than that, he was tough love. But probably the last 20 years of his life, we were good friends. He might would call me fat one day and they tell me I was one of the strongest people he's ever met the next. That's just what he was. So I'm that way to some extent, but I'm a little too easy on my kids sometimes, and they're getting to the age where they need to be working. Helping out around here, learning some work ethic, getting off the cell phones and the video games. But yeah, that's the reason why I do what I do, is my grandparents. Well, we're coming back up to the edge of the wet spot. So far we've skipped the passes where we're going to run through the worst of it looks like. We'll eventually have to come back and fill that in. But this farm we're working on here, this is the farm that my grandmother on my Thomas side, her family owned it. Standing water. Well, my grandfather was able to purchase it several years ago, and now my aunt owns it. So that's what this is here. Well, now I'm going to talk about my dad, Bobby. Of course, he was raised on a farm, and he was going to farm when he got out of high school, and my grandparents made him go to college. He taught school for, I think, about 8 years. After college, he went to MTSU, Middle Tennessee State University, and got an agricultural degree. Don't know exactly what it's in, but he was a school principal for a while, a guidance counselor, an ag teacher, and he quit it all to go farming. And he worked a few years in the hard times in a factory. He's been retired about 15 years now. So yeah, me and him, we farm together. And right now it's tearing him up because I'm in quarantine and he can't be around me. He don't understand. If you look out there in them woods, there's a creek that runs down through there, and I shot and killed one of the biggest bucks that I've ever killed. It's not a monster. I done that about 13 years ago. Shot a bobcat that same day. Actually shot the bobcat first. It ran off in a cane brake and was wrestling around, and the deer come up on me, and I shot and killed it. 8 point, about 17 inches wide. Well, I'm still running the skip pass, getting close to this fence over here, so I'll start doubling back over. I'll talk about myself now. I graduated high school in 1995. Like I said, I'd already been working on the farm as a kid through high school. I decided then I wanted to farm, and my parents didn't want me to, my grandpa didn't want me to, so there wasn't no money in it. So I went to trade school, become a machinist. I got a job. I farmed a few acres of my own for a while. Helped out on the farm until I got to working too much on my other job and got interested in other things, and kind of wasn't on the farm for several years. And so I was working a job, and I was working third shift, and I'm going to rest this arm for a little bit, and got to getting bored, got to getting in things I didn't need to be doing. So a lot of days I'd get off work, and I was single, so I'd go work on the farm for a few hours just to have something to do. And I started renting a few acres of my own then, and found out I was going to get laid off. So I was a fireman, and I got laid off, and I went back to school for 2 years, learned SolidWorks and AutoCAD, and worked for about 3 years doing that, either sitting in a cubicle or sitting in an office, and farming a little of my own, helping my dad and my grandpa. And it got to the point where the company I was working for, let's hold it for a second. All right, I had to turn around. The company I was working for was a very great company. I worked out a deal with them when I hired on to take some time off in the spring and the fall to plant crops and get crops in. And unfortunately, the company went bankrupt. So they shut the doors right about 2 weeks before corn planting. So they just shut them all of a sudden one day, just announced and said 10:30 today, we're shutting the doors, get your stuff and leave. So I came home, and my wife said, what are you doing home? I said, well, they shut the doors. And she said, you got to be joking. I said, no. I said, we're done. And she said, well, what are you going to do now? I said, I'm going to change out these nice clothes and put on some old clothes and go work on the farm. Well, that didn't go over too well. So I didn't get a job, and it was a rough 6 months financially and Plus, what are you going to do? You know, when are you going to find you a job? I'm not. I'm on farm. I picked up some more land, and that was in 2012. And I had probably one of the best financial years on the farm ever. And farming just maybe a third of what I'm farming now. In retrospect, that's probably one of the worst decisions I've ever made in my life. Not to farm, but because I enjoy it, but not having another income coming in. But we're working on that, and hopefully I'm not working for nobody. It's something I've been trying to do, and that's starting a soil sampling business. And I've been trying to work on it for about 6 weeks. I'm actually ditching the company I was working with and going with another one. This quarantine is going to give me time to practice on some of my own land so I can pick up customers. So we'll see over the next couple of weeks how well that goes. Now I'm filling in. You can see good how I've been skip passing. So one other thing that I wanted to talk about myself is I'm married. I've got a wife named Amy. We've been married 11 years. We've been together 13. We got twins, Russell and Delilah. They're 10. We had another set of twins, Seth and Lucy. Lucy was stillborn. Seth is healthy and a handful. So I just thought I'd tell a little bit about myself, because you know, some of y'all we comment, and some of it we've even started sending each other messages on Facebook, stuff like that. I'm just telling you a little bit about myself. The farm, that's unimportant. The farm, me and Dad farm about 800 acres of row crop. I hope to be expanding on that some this year, possibly 200 more acres. We've got a cow and calf operation. They're not registered. Run about 90 head of mama cows, and we cut and roll our own hay. I sell my wheat straw to a local dairy. They use it for filler and bedding. I don't know, maybe. But all I know is they pay me for it, so they pay me good. So that's just some of the things about me. Okay, well, why do we run all red equipment, or mostly red equipment? I don't know, we just always have. My grandpa, he started out with the old Farmall tractors. He bought a Super M new in 1951. We still have the tractor, needs to be restored. But he did buy a 55 John Deere combine, new back in the 50s. He ran it, then he ran Massey Ferguson combines for several years. We got the first Case International combine in the year 2000, a 1660. It was 10 years old. But I had an great uncle that worked over at International Harvester in Memphis, and he would sometimes get deals on tractors that they had used and tested, run around the yard or out in the field, and when International Harvester got ready, when they was done with them, they would just put them at an employee auction, and that's how he got a few tractors. Never been a big deer dealership around close enough. When I bought this 8940 here, I was actually looking at John Deere's too. It's what we know how to work on. It's what we're comfortable with, and there's nothing against John Deere. I just want to clarify that. I will aggravate somebody about a John Deere, and they will aggravate me about a red machine, but that's just the way things are. Well, I'm going to finish this field, and about a 70% chance of rain for 12 a.m. So I won't be disking tomorrow. I may just stay at home. Probably not a video tomorrow night. And this may have been a little boring, but a little different too. But I thought I'd just tell about myself. So if you've made this far, you've not thought it was too boring. Thank you for watching. Give a thumbs up. Subscribe. I picked up some subscribers. Been picking them up pretty regular, and today I've got quite a few. Maybe 10 today. But anyways, leave your comments. I like them. You know, if this video sucks, tell me. I won't talk about myself again. I'll just shut up. Anyways, all joking aside, thanks for watching, and God bless you. Stay safe.